Welcome back to another episode of My Lawyer Next Door. Today, we have Mayuran Tharmabalan of Mayuran Tharmabalan Professional Corporation here with us. He's a chartered accountant. He has a successful practice of 10 years now. So, Mayuran, please introduce yourself to our audience.
Hi guys, my name is Mayuran Tharmabalan. I run an accounting and tax practice where we provide audit reviews and compilation services and high-level tax as well. Some personal taxes we do as well. If you need anything, reach out to us. And thank you for having me on this episode.
Okay, thank you. At the same time, at the current time of this recording, Mayuran is actually the sitting president of the Sri Lankan Accounting Association as well. So, congrats on that.
Thank you.
So, today, one of the big things is like we're getting into tax season, tax deadlines. One of the big things that people are worried about is a tax man coming after me. Is CRA coming after me? And CRA has made certain moves in its infrastructure which shows to us that they're going to become more aggressive on certain things. So for today's topic, what we're really going to talk about is, hey, if I took CERB or I took CEBA, what are the things I should be looking out for? Because what's happening is CRA made they hired a huge number of employees to track and verify the eligibility of the people who receive these benefits, just to make sure that they played the system fairly and they really needed these funds in order for during COVID relief. So so let's talk about this and what, as a normal person, I should be concerned about if I got any of these benefits. So now, first, let's start with CERB. Okay. So CERB, tell us about it.
Well, CERB, if you really qualify, then it's not a problem at all, right? But if you don't qualify, so if you took CERB and then you still worked, they'll be able to find out from your T4 itself. It has specific box lines they put on for those periods in 2020. So based on that, they'll be able to figure it out. And then if you try to cheat a little bit and then go, work under the table or cash, then what they're going to do is they're going to also request your bank statements and credit card statement to see if you have deposited cash. And then you got to be able to tell them where this cash come from, right? So if you got it or you made yourself eligible for it, then that might give you some trouble. So, these are things that a lot of people didn't think about, but CR is really looking after this and then going and catching at people who didn't really qualify and actually receive the benefit.
So, so what happens? Okay, let's say I'm a person who didn't qualify or I wasn't really eligible, and now if they come after me, what's the impact to me? What happens to me?
At this point, I haven't seen much of a penalty or anything imposed. At this point in time, they're just asking you to pay it back. So I guess if you don't pay it back, these rules are new, so we haven't seen much of a penalty yet. So at this time, they're just asking you to pay it back.
So are they asking you to pay back all in lump sum, or can you make a payment plan with them? Because some people cannot afford maybe 5,000, 6,000, 8,000, 10,000, 14,000 of capital like cash to pay back in one shot.
Right. Technically, they do want you to pay back all at once.
Yeah.
But if you really can't afford the cash to pay, really, you just have to say, listen, I did it, but can I make a payment plan? They may agree with you to pay it in sequence.
Okay. So for those who took CERB and are questioning whether they are really eligible or not, talk to an accountant. Talk to a good accountant who will actually help you navigate the circumstances. Because for some people, there was exceptions. I think you can make at one point up to $1,000, and then you still qualify.
That's right.
So if you are, it's not that you couldn't work at all, but then you need to. It's all fact specific, right?
That's
all
right.
our advice here is fact specific. We're just giving you general high level advice. So if you took CERB and you don't know, well, depending on your T4, CRA could find out if you really qualified. Your bank statements will kind of show you kind of qualified. We've had in our office, people would request credit card statements to say that, so you use your credit card and you've been making the payments. It doesnhow about your bank statements. How did you get the cash to make the payments?
That's right.
So there's always a tracking system. It's very hard in today's day to live on a full cash basis. It is. So for those who got CERB, and if you're thinking you may have not qualified or what are the ramifications, talk to your accountant or reach out to Mayuran Tharmabalan's Professional Corporation and his team. They'll be happy to help and navigate you through these the questions you may have. All right, so with that, that is CERB. Now, that's for a lot of the individuals. The government also gave cumulatively 60,000 under the under the CEBA program. The CEBA program, which gave you 60,000, of which you had 40,000 of that was a loan, and 20,000 becomes a grant if you pay it off originally by December 31st, 2022.
Right.
But I think because of the third or fourth wave, they extended that deadline to December 31st, 2023.
Right.
Originally, they gave us 3 years to pay it back. So if you don't pay it back by this deadline, you had to pay back the entire 60. If you pay it back before this deadline, you only have to pay back 40.
That's right.
And over 60, it became a payment plan or something. Can you tell us, like, do we still have 3 years to pay it back?
Okay, before I get into the deadline, let me give you some technical information about this, right? So the CEBA loan, technically, you should have had $40,000 or more of expenses between January 1 and 2020. So if you did have that expenses, yes, you were eligible to claim, and there were other certain rules like you should have income in the prior 2 years and things like that, right? So if you did have it, then you're fine. But if you made yourself eligible for it, then there's going to be a problem because now on your 2020 tax return, you didn't have that 40,000 expenses. So it's an automatic thing for CRA to come back. Hey, you got the CEBA, but I don't see a $40,000 expense that you provided documentation for doesn't appear here, right? That's one. And then the other technical rule to this would be the 20,000 you received is income in the year that you received. So which means of the 40,000, of the 60,000, 40,000 is non-taxable, and the loan which is you had to pay back, the other 20,000 is taxable, right? Okay. So in the year you received, you should have included in the income and paid the tax on it if you did. If you didn't, then they'll reassess you to pay it back. Whether you have your intention to pay it back or not, that is taxed in the year you received. Now, initially it was December 31st, 2022 that you pay back, and then you get the $20,000 as grant that you don't have to pay it back. Now what they did is they made because of this third and fourth wave and all that, they made a year extension for the interest-free period, but still that loan of $40,000, if you pay it by December 31st, 2023, then the $20,000 is forgiven. If not, the entire $60,000 is repayable in 2 years term loan, it will be converted into term loan at 5% interest.
So what the government really did is just said, oh, I'm going to give you 1 year extra free pay. We extended, but what they did is cut you off at the backside. Right. So the deadline's still the same. It's still an entire about 4 or 5 year prepayment plan. Okay, so that's good news. So you're telling me if I'm a business owner and I made myself eligible by providing documentation that says I met the requirements, that then my historical or my going forward business taxes should reflect those expenses, right? Because there are some horror stories, or like there's some stories where people claimed 3, 4, 5, 6 with all these companies, and they did some of these things. This is not for the general population of people who were really eligible and who really needed the help. This is for the minority. For those people, if they don't declare these expenses, then they're actually waiting for a big red flag.
Right. See, it's very easy. Based on your tax submission, CRA can easily identify from your past and the current, and between the 2019 and the 21 tax returns that you file, they can easily identify who is 100% eligible for this CEBA loan, right? Thinking from an accountant's perspective, they'll weed out the people that they really don't have to audit because they file the T4s. There are other, and then they have their expenses, year by year and all that. So for CRA to audit those guys, it's really ineffective in my thinking. I think, from an auditor's perspective, right? So they're going to really look at all the people who they'll weed out those, and then they'll probably check the rest of the people who made themselves eligible, so it's easier for them to tackle down.
So what do you think is going to be if you are caught as one of these people who shouldn't have been eligible initially, what do you think is going to be CRA is going to do to them?
Technically, first of all, they're going to ask you to pay it back. Whether they're going to impose penalties and penalties or not, I'm not sure of, because this is a brand new thing. They, as per the rules, it says, if you did not follow the rules, you will be imposed penalties and interest and all that kind of stuff. So I'm assuming, based on the prior history of CRA, anything they paid you in early, and if you didn't qualify, you're going to pay it back with interest from the date that they paid you. Now, are they going to penalize you for penalties? That I cannot really say. I'm not 100% sure how they're going to deal with it, because these are things that came up when the coronavirus emergency plans were introduced. So there's no history to it.
Yeah.
So it's hard, really hard to say penalty, but interest and repayment is certain.
Okay, so there you guys have it. So what, to summarize, if you took the CEBA loan and you're not, you haven't claimed your taxes properly, your business taxes properly, and showing the right expenses and meeting the requirements, it's easy to flag for CRA. If they do flag, then there's going to be potential of interest and penalties and a repayment of the entire 60,000. It's not going to be 40,000 anymore. No. It's the entire 60,000. And lastly, the term has now been, even though the free period has been extended to December 31st, 2023 to repay the 40, if you don't, now you don't have 3 years repayment, you only have 2 years repayment at a 5% fixed term loan.
That's right.
And automatically converts. So there you guys have it. It's a very high level overview of people, how the CRA could come after you if you took CEBA or CERB, and if you think you're ineligible. At all times, if you think you may have an issue, please speak to your accountant or reach out to Mayuran's firm. His firm's details will be put in the caption below. And if there's other topics like this that you would like us to discuss on an accounting basis or anything else, please write in the comment what the topics are, or if it's more sensitive, you could DM us or email us. We'll be more than happy to bring the right professional like Mayuran to come and address these questions for you. So, thank you, Mayuran, for coming out. I know it's busy tax season for you, but we really do appreciate you coming out on this time. And thank you to our viewers for staying tuned in to My Lawyer Next Door, and stay tuned for our next episode coming soon.